Um. Um. So, I was browsing and was like LOL, Skinwalker what is? So I read through the creepypasta. All of it? And so far what I'm getting is that they are shapeshifters. Live in the woods. Imitate voices. Sometimes hunt in packs, but only one or two show up, the rest staying in the dark. Stench. Like to mess with people, not necessarily kill them. I think I might have taught a skinwalker how to dance. Holy shit. I'm kinda freaking out a bit. I'll type it up in a bit, I need to try to remember all the details, it was a while ago. Also, may or may not be immune to or very resilient to bullets. Heal easily. Usually run once they face bravery or strong resistance. Tend to twitch, become very jittery, or have random spasms at random points.
I think I might have taught a skinwalker how to dance. Skinwalker how to dance. Skinwalker dance. I'm in. Waiting for your story. Take your time.
Okay, I think I remember everything now. Took me a while, sorry about that. So, this is the story of how I taught a skinwalker how to dance, and why I regret it. Something to note, at the time, I was dating a guy named Sam. I'll try not to use names, but it's important that his name be mentioned for reasons that'll be made clear later. Sam was on the football team, and they just had a fairly good run. The teams in the area, South Dakota, mostly. I think there may have been someone from North Dakota. I don't know, it's been a while, had pooled their resources and decided there should be a big inter-school campout at this little hostel/campground thing in the woods somewhere in the Black Hills. Why? Who knows, something about gracious professionalism or something. The football players and cheerleaders were all given spots, but here and there a few couldn't make it, so they gave their spots to other people. There was sorta a flock that hung around Sam and I, mostly nerdly types, and since A was dating one of the cheerleaders, the two of them convinced the girls that weren't going to give some spots to the rest of our little gang. Sam was for it, because we figured we could go out into the woods and have some private time, away from his parents/his brother/my parents. We all get into buses, drive out there. They'd reserved most of the space, so apart from a few old people and a family it was mostly us. Lots of people though, because 3-4 schools worth of footballers, cheerleaders, and hangers-on. And some chaperone parents. It was kinda chilly, since we were headed towards November at this point. Anyway, with the cold, most people gathered around a few big bonfires where they'd set up a sound system and were blaring pop/dance type music. I think the parents and old people were kinda pissed, but none of us cared. So it's still fairly light out, we left at 9-ish, 10-ish? I wanna say 10-ish. Oh, and there were 4 schools, a friend who was there finally got back to me on Facebook, so there's dancing and lunch and stuff in full swing. Sam gives me this look from across the field. Hell yeah, it's on. He slips off behind one of the cabins into the woods. I finish my hot dog and then do the same. 5-10 minutes of walking and I see him sitting on a rock looking guilty, but excited. We look to make sure we weren't followed, then start running/climbing/scrabbling up the mountain. We had to have gone half a mile before we even looked back. We could barely see anything down there, the trees were thick. So we climbed a bit more. There was this rocky section that went up a bit over the tree line, and we could look down and see all the people partying. Could they see us? Maybe, but they probably couldn't tell who we were. We looked down a bit then climb a little further. The mountain was leveling out a bit here, with a valley off on the other side. I reckon we're far enough away from people, so I grab Sam and pull him up against a tree. He looks kinda surprised and gets all wary. Dude, we're like a parsec away from everything. Come on. He's skittish, says he feels like we're being watched. I tell him he's paranoid. And, because I know he hates musicals, I start singing Christine, what are you afraid of? Let's not argue, please pretend, you will understand in time. He kisses me to shut me up. Things happen. This is going somewhere, I promise, sorry, I'm wordy. After that we sit up on the mountain, watching the party bellow. At this point the sun started heading down, and it'll fall over the taller hills on the other side of the campground before too long. I lean against his chest and wish it would never end. We start heading back before people notice we've gone. We're about halfway down the mountain, still holding hands, me wishing I hadn't left my boxers up the mountain and hoping I did in fact pack some more, when he stops suddenly. Looking across the forest there's something moving. It's hard to tell what, but it looks kinda big. Does T move like a human? Too heavy for that. It moves off, and we take another route back. Figure it was a bear? Or a mountain lion? Maybe. Figure we should tell someone? Yeah. I'll tell the people in charge of the campsite, ask if this is bear country. Jokes about bears and country puns happen. I walk back into the general area of the campsite while Sam is off talking to the camp managers. It's dusky now, the sun kissing the hills across the way. People are dancing and drinking Coke / Sprite / Pepsi from plastic cups that definitely weren't spiked with anything, no siree, law-abiding citizens only here, Herm. So I'm dancing around, trying to get M to dance with J, this chick he likes, but he's being a pussy and she'd probably have said no anyway because M was an awkward person. So I'm walking through the field and see this girl sitting all on her own. I don't recognize her, figure she's from one of the other schools. She looks kinda sad, kinda small. I walk up to her and tell her come on, there's a party happening. Sadness is for old people. Dance with me. She looks up, head tilted a bit to the right. Some dialogue happens here, I don't remember the exact words but I'll put down the gist. I give her my cheesiest of cheesy grins, which I'll regret later, and hold out a hand. Come on, I say again. She looks at the hand, then slowly reaches for it. I pull her up and into the general milieu. She sorta mutters I don't. And I tell her it's easy. Just wave your arms and your ass like no one's watching. I proceed to do just that. She gives me this awkward looking smile, and I think to myself, ah, that smile is probably why you were sitting alone, and sorta does the same. While I'm making it look good, or at least, trying, she's sorta making it look awkward. But, what ifs? She sorta does what I do. I shake my ass, she shakes her ass. I bop my shoulders, she bops her shoulders. Etc. Eventually I get bored of doing spastic dances and get in close. Here, do you know how to do a foxtrot? 'Cause I don't. I sorta don't. Sam tried to teach me a few times but my feet are fail. But I know the basic step. She lets me grab her hand and waist, and I put her hand on my shoulder, and we sorta foxtrot around the field. She does the awkward smile again, but she's sorta getting into it. I start to regret getting into this though, she smells weird. Reason number 2, she was sitting alone, I think. Not wanting to get all the way through the song, and seeing Sam across the field, I shout Sam. He comes over. What'd they say? It's not bear country. But they're gonna get some wildlife people to check into it. Cool. It's cool that you saw what might have been a bear, but probably wasn't, way off in the far distance earlier. This last bit was for the girl's benefit. She seemed like the type to freak out if there were really bears. Who's your friend Anon? This is, Actually, what is your name? She looks at me, then, giving that awkward grin again, says Sam. Huh. Coincidence. Sam, meet Sam, Sam meet Sam. Sam, you teach Sam how to do a foxtrot, I'm gonna go have some more Sprite. I wander off, My, Sam glowering at me for leaving me with her. I shrug at him and give him a look that implies he should punish me later. He extracts himself after a song or two and we hang out with the rest of the people we know for a while. I don't see girl, Sam for a while, figure she's gone off with friends. What ifs? Night comes, we head into the cabins. The music is stopped and people are being herded towards the hostel/cabins. They were like little shitty drywall cabins all connected by a longer hallway. There were 6 of them, and we took up 4 or 5 of them. There's a lounge/lobby area with a breakfast bar, pool tables, heads on the walls, and then lots of 4-person rooms off down the hallways, by the chaperone types, who then go off to their cabin for some big meeting-y thing. I found out later that they'd gotten wind of the maybe bear and were deciding if they should do anything about it. Someone brought vidya, so we vidya a bit. I try to play cards and fail miserably at poker. Hey, who's that out the window? A few of us look out the window. It's girl, Sam. She's standing there on the path, on her own. She's not wearing shoes, I notice. Her head's tilted to the side again, like a bird. I get to the window, see who it is, wave. I'm trying to decide if I should let her in. I'm not sure if that'd be breaking any rules, but also I'm kinda tired and don't wanna babysit some chick. Also that would put a crimp in the sneaking away to the rooms plan that I have. She is not the Sam this includes. So I wave. She stands there, then raises her arms. She shakes and shudders like she's having a seizure, and a few people ask if she's okay. She has that weird, overly large grin on her face that looks more like a grimace. Way too many teeth. She stops for a second, and says, in this weird, raspy voice, come on. She starts dancing again, and it was dancing, I recognize those hip movements. Sam gives me a look, he recognizes it too. I say sorry, girls aren't allowed in here with us. Blatant lies, there were at least 2 there. She says something else. I didn't realize until I was reading this thread how not okay what she said next was. What are you afraid of? Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. I shut the window and the drapes. I'm kinda freaked out. By the time the scream happened she was gone. The scream, this happened 10, maybe 15 minutes later. I'm back to Vidya and wishing we were betting on this because dear gods do I clean up good in melee when I'm using Young Link. Damn you and your arm cannon Samus. Suddenly, there's this noise. I didn't have a reference for it at the time, but if you've seen Game of Thrones think of the shouting that Mama Stark was doing at the end of the Red Wedding, but with more animalness in it. A little higher pitched, a little more guttural. There were 2 of them, one after the other. We all looked out our windows. I didn't really connect it to girl, Sam, and I suppose they might not have been related. But it did come from the same part of the woods that was facing the window from earlier. We were a bit rattled, and 1 or 2 people started talking about what it might have been. There was no real consensus, but I was sorta glad that he had brought a hunting knife with him in his backpack, even though it broke roughly all of the rules ever. A few people went to their rooms so they could enjoy the locked doors quality, and those of us still up near the rather large, easily broken windows started swapping hunting stories, which turned into sports stories, which turned into /K/style trivia, which I started tuning out and watching the TV in the other room. I wished Sam would go with me to his room, but there wasn't really an inconspicuous way of slipping off. About half an hour later we heard sirens. A bunch of us rushed out to see what was happening. The chaperones were holding us back, telling us not to get too close. A sheriff's car had pulled up, and it sat there flashing for about 10 minutes while the sheriff talked to some park ranger looking guys with hunting rifles. Couldn't hear much. Eventually a park ranger guy went to talk to one of the coaches, who spread the word that we should all go back inside for the night. What's wrong, Mr. D? Nothing, Anon, just go inside. Once we were inside, my, Sam, 2 other guys we were rooming with and I all started heading towards our room. There were a lot of people swarming around. And then I see girl, Sam, down the hallway. She seemed like she was limping a bit, but hadn't seen me yet. I got to my room before she did and stayed there. When people asked me why I was jumpy, I explained that some weird stalker chick was out there. Sam puffed his chest back and leaned against the bed. Anun. Lovey me. He sat on the bed and started being all touchy-feely and I fought him off a little less hard than I would have it were anyone else. Anun. Love me for ever. I have watched you for so long. We were laughing and someone called Sam a fag and got punched on the arm, and the mood was fine all night. We went to bed. Didn't see girl, Sam the next day, or Sunday when it was time to head back. I tried to look for her because I felt kinda bad for dodging her / being an ass to her at the window, but didn't find her. I probably could have tried harder. I'm not sure what made the park ranger guys go all wiggy. They were gone the next day, and the chaperones weren't telling us jack. That's about it, I'm afraid. I'm sorry there's no big climax or no broken lights shapeshifter hijinks. Maybe they got a meal of a park ranger in the woods, or maybe they weren't hunting, or maybe there was nothing going on at all. Maybe Smelly, Sam went home with a bit of a crush and got over it by Christmas break. Or, maybe Skinwalker, Sam went back home. Maybe she's still out in those woods on that mountain, singing phantom songs and hoping someone will dance with her.